What's going on, guys? Got a beautiful sunny day here. Thought I'd make a video and address a couple of the comments I've been getting on how the leather's held up. So if you haven't seen any of the previous videos, I made two videos about seat doctors. And in the first one, we just did the re-dye treatment, and as you can tell, it attracts dirt pretty quick. This is my daily driver, and you know, sometimes I'm underneath the car and I'm getting dirty, and then I'm hopping in and out of this thing. So on the seats, I use the color re-dye, which is kind of like a restoration balm as well as some dye. And on the steering wheel, I used the dye as well as the top coat. And as you can tell, the steering wheel has held up fantastic. Yeah, it's got a little bit of dirt, but it's very, very similar to how the leather comes factory. So what we're gonna do today is we are going to clean this all up, and we're gonna hit it with a single coat of the dye, and then we're going to hit it with a nice couple layers of top coat. And the reason I waited for this is it just works so much better when it's warm out. So these are the products we're gonna be using today. This is just stuff I had laying around. This stuff's pretty good, but to be honest, I really like the Lexol. We've had this in the house since forever. We had it since the little tiny brown package, but this stuff works great. Couple Costco microfibers, and then our Seat Doctors dye and top coat. Okay, so I just did about 3 passes with the Lexol and the chemical guys, and it's not very effective because I think when I re-dyed this and didn't use the top coat, it holds on to dirt much more than just like a factory leather. So I busted out the Super Clean in about 80% concentration, and that's one wipe. So you know, for the regular, untreated leather, we're gonna be using the Lexol. But for right now, I'm gonna hit it with the Super Clean because, like I said, we're gonna be doing another top coat. I'm not too worried about it peeling or anything like that. But yeah, if you got something really dirty and you're going to be treating it and re-dyeing it anyways, hit it with the Super Clean. I mean, it's crazy. Okay, so that's about 30 seconds with the Super Clean. But as you can tell, it's definitely pulling up some color. So if you got a nice seat, you're just trying to do a touch-up, or you got something that you really want to take care of and you're not doing a full kind of re-dye process like I am, then yeah, use a leather cleaner. Take the extra time and just kind of go through it a bit more carefully than I am, but I'm lazy. I'm just gonna fill this in with color anyways, so let's get to it. It's been sitting for about a year, so we'll give that a good shake. And we'll pour some into our milk lid. That should be more than enough. Then we will take our newly shaped paintbrush. Just get a little bit on there. From what I remember, this is about a year ago, so from what I remember, less is more, but it does dry and it is very forgiving. So we're just gonna get after it. Okay, so take a little mental image and we'll do little check-ins with the progress and see how it goes. So if you haven't seen my previous videos, the technique is you're kind of just pushing color into the cracks and just go thin and don't worry about how it looks because this dries to a very different color. So just get a little bit closer there. Yeah, we'll just kind of drag that around. I'm going to avoid the stitching, so we'll do go from the middle to the outside. But yeah, this stuff is pretty forgiving. You can't really mess it up. I mean, you could do it like me and have to make 3 videos how to do it properly, but whatever. Okay, so a little update, just did a thin coat on this panel and we're about halfway through this panel. So yeah, it's going really well. I'm not doing any sanding. I'm not following any instructions. We're not using any of the filler like last time. And I think it's going pretty well. So I'm going on a little bit thick just for these bigger cracks. So I'll do a couple here on cam. So I kind of push it into the cracks and then I kind of spread it out from there. And yeah, there's gonna be some paintbrush marks, but it's a driver's seat. As long as it feels like leather, it's not uncomfortable, and it's all one color, I'm gonna be pretty happy with that. Yeah, just gonna push it into those cracks. And don't worry about the streaking, don't worry about the paintbrush marks, because there's gonna be more coats for that. Okay, so just refilled our lid with our chocolate milkshake, and yeah, we got pretty much 2 panels done with that amount. I am leaving the cracks here till the end because no matter how much I clean them, there'll always be some little tiny bit of debris, and same with this stitching. I really don't want to get any dye on those. Why don't you get your shop vac with the little micro attachments and do it properly? Yeah, but I don't wanna. Okay, so just finished our second cap, and we got most of the third panel done, but I'm also putting on a couple layers really thick into these cracks. I'm just gonna see what happens, because I do kind of remember from last time being able to push in a fair bit of color, and it really didn't show up too badly with the paintbrush stroke, so I guess we'll see. Not because I'm lazy, but you know, for science. Okay, so that is all 4 panels. Definitely got a couple spots still drying. That one was mostly touch-up. We didn't really do the full panel. It was in pretty good shape. Might go over a couple more spots still, but like I said, we're not trying to fill in every crack, just trying to get a nice uniform color. And I'm also gonna do the armrest, because this has always bugged me. I did it with the Clydes. I don't know if you saw the original video, but it was a total mistake. I pulled up some of the stock color with alcohol, and ever since I've been trying to fill it in, and yeah, anyways, the solution is top coat. Okay, so we got it all cleaned up, and yeah, you can kind of see where I was pulling up some of the factory color with alcohol, and you might be saying to yourself, man, that's pretty small, like, you can barely even see it, who cares? But there's something in my brain, some form of autism, where if I take something that's perfectly fine and I make it worse, I have to fix it. Whereas with the seat, it was already kind of messed up, right? And it's much, much better now. It doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, so we did the main patch, but for the detail work, I trimmed up another brush, so a little bit more control. Okay, so I had to do this 3 or 4 times, and as you can tell, it is still far, far from perfect. Yeah, I just gotta move on, because I will obsess about this all day, and it's kind of going backwards. It was honestly better the first time I did it, but yeah, we're gonna leave that for another day. I am going to get into the top coat here. So I cleaned up everything, cleaned up our brushes, and we're gonna go ahead and do our first top coat layer. Okay, so the top coat was going on pretty well, but I did notice that it started to pull up some color. Our last color coat was not that long ago, so I'm definitely not giving it enough time to dry. So I'm running out of daylight here, so we're gonna have to pick this up tomorrow. The next day. Okay, so it is the following day, and I came out here and I started to apply a bit of top coat, and it started pulling color up again, even after drying all night. So I kind of had to go back to the drawing board a bit, and looking at a couple videos and looking at what this stuff is made out of, most people don't even use the top coat, because the dye itself has, I think 80% is like a top coat. So what I kind of figured is that my layers of dye were too thick. I'm using a paintbrush, and that's obviously not correct. They even say that in the instructions. So instead, I got a Scott's fiber-free towel, those little work towels, and I just started rubbing in more color. And I can already tell that the coats are thinner. So we're gonna put on like 4 or 5 real thin coats, and I'm gonna let it dry. I'll probably take off this sun visor, really kind of let it bake in here a bit, and then we'll try and do a top coat. And I'll probably use the Scott's, because it just goes on a lot thinner. You get no, like the streak marks are much less. Like I just put a layer on like literally 30 seconds ago and it's already dry. So obviously it's gonna soak up more color. It's a bit more wasteful than the paintbrush, but hey, we're here for a good time, not a long time. Okay, so I went inside and did a bit more research, and what I think is happening is I was putting on too much top coat with the paintbrush, and it was mixing with the top coat in the dye itself, and for whatever reason, that would kind of pull it up from the leather. So I just used the same technique with the Scott's towel, and I didn't get any paint transfer at all, even though this has only been curing for maybe 2 hours. So maybe it's a little bit of the, multiple thin coats, or maybe it is just the thinner layer of top coat and not having enough time to kind of mix. But it went on really nice, no real streaking. Kind of see where I missed a few spots, but I'm gonna hit this with a couple more layers, and I think that's gonna be it, boys. I think that was kind of the trick all along. Turns out maybe I should have read the instructions after all. So I actually went back and re-watched my part 2, where I did the top coat on the steering wheel and the armrest, and I didn't give it very much time between the dye and the top coat. So I'm wondering if it kind of just mixed all together. As much as the steering wheel held up, this really did not. It got dirty very quick, as if it didn't have any top coat. So I'm gonna let this cure. I'll probably do a couple more treatments with the dye, because I only got to do like 1 or 2 layers before I got frustrated and gave up. But I am going to use the thinner layers with the Scott's towel approach, because that seemed to work really well. Okay, so I'm just going to show you, like, I'm literally just taking a tiny bit, and then quickly spreading it. You know, if you let it kind of sit there or glom up somewhere, that's when you start to get the dye transfer. But if you do these really thin kind of quick layers, you don't get any of that. Okay, so I hit this with a couple more coats and it is looking pretty dang good. Feels nice. I think what I'm gonna do for the armrest is I'm gonna buy a little sponge and cut it down to size. That way I can really get in there without hitting any of the stitching, but it looks pretty good, man. Looks pretty good. I'm gonna put a little before and after on the screen and we'll kind of compare those two, but yeah, I'm really happy with that. Hopefully it holds up. You'll have to stay tuned and check out the next couple videos and I'll try and remember to mention if it's held up or not. But anyways, that's gonna have to do it for today. I appreciate you guys watching and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.